Aztec Nation, it's a victory Sunday. The Aztecs have won 4 straight, and they take down Wyoming 63-61. I got the guys here. It's an Oscars almost. It's a Grammys Sunday. I got my blazer. Guys, you ready to talk some Aztecs hoops? You guys ready?
Let's
get into this. Let's get into this. We'll see you in about 2 minutes.
The wins.
Looking for Burr. The up and under. London, and there's a rebound for Heidi as San Diego State survives on their home floor.
They may change. Lob down low. There's Bird up and away. He's soaring. He's slamming for San Diego State. Kogan has a hand on it. Heidi just took it away. He said, "That's my ball. Give me that." Impressive. Davis up top. Hits a three. And Viejas is rocking. Wyoming needs a timeout. That's been the offensive foul. Got the arm way up high. Walk in the corner. There's a three. The big guy can stretch it out. 7 foot. To draw the foul. Inbounds play. It's Allen for three. Way short. Kogan had it blocked. Guess who? Block again. Misses the second, but the rebound scooped up. Bird's there. And he lays it in. Boy, the lefty to take. Too strong. Heidi is there for the rebound and the stick back.
Well, Heidi gets the rebound, but if you're Wyoming, you have to foul him in that scenario.
Free throw line for the native San Diego. Gotta love the smiles. Did miss on purpose. And that's it. A wild finish here tonight from San Diego State. Aztecs 44 in the net. Get a huge victory to stay right in the picture for the NCAA tournament. Field of 68.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Sons of Montezuma podcast. It is a victory Sunday, as mentioned already. We are here live, coming from San Diego and East Tahoe. Of course, you guys know I am Mateo, San Diego. And it's always good to reconnect with these guys all the way, East County to East Tahoe. What's going on, Mr. Tortolot? Mike. How are you?
What's up, guys? Pumped. Hey, good week. 2 dubs, wild wins, but wins nonetheless.
Take them any way you can get them. You cannot stop him. You can only hope to contain this man. We are excited to be in Fort Collins this Saturday coming up. Fiend, how are you doing? How are you doing?
Oh, man, I'm doing okay. Looking forward to Fort Collins. My approach, I think, has shifted with this team to que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. You just kind of have to throw those expectations out and just hope for the best. I mean, because they're definitely living on the edge here. The quad 4 loss edge, but we have not taken the loss. We've gotten some wins. So, hey, this is a great stretch to get some rest and get primed for Saturday night at Moby Arena.
A lot of opportunities for names of songs in that little rant there, man. Living on a Prayer. They entered the danger zone. It's Grammys Sunday, as I mentioned. I'm a big Grammys guy. I'm feeling very musical right now.
You missed the obvious one. Living on the Edge by Aerosmith.
Okay. All right. No, okay. I am a big Aerosmith guy. I want to see them perform one of these days on my bucket list.
Better do it soon.
I know. But like I said, 63-61. It was another wild game, as Mike said. 4 in a row now. Make it for these young Aztecs. Guys, these young Aztecs, as Fiend was saying, you got to have your heart medication ready anytime you got to watch these young guys play. And, we'll get into it. We didn't do a pod after the San Jose State game. You talk about a crazy game. 21 points down. The red jerseys came into play. We were there watching that comeback. The whole game, I was kind of talking trash, right? I was kind of talking trash on Twitter. I knew we were going to come back having those red jerseys on. Something inside me said, it's going to be okay. It's San Jose. They got the red jerseys on. They came back. They won the game. But coming into Wyoming, I'll be honest with you guys, this may be the first game all season that I actually sat in my seats for majority of the whole game. After that big emotional game against San Jose, I was curious to see how this team was going to come out. And to be honest with you, I was kind of ho-hum in this game. I mean, it's Wyoming. I get it. They're not a big program. As a Saturday, so it was a good crowd. But I was just observing. I kind of wanted to just watch this team, how they reacted. I didn't want to get carried away as a fan and get too loud, get too boisterous. Like, I just wanted to see how they were going to perform. And for the most game, I mean, it was exactly what I thought it was going to be, a defensive struggle. It was kind of ugly at times. We got into a little bit of a lead there. And then Wyoming we got lethargic again. Wyoming took the lead. And it was that ways till most of the second half. And once again, the young guys come back. The Cardi Aztecs, as Andrew was telling me, Chino, the Cardi Aztecs, the young kids, they came through again in the end. Since it is like a Grammys night, Mike, if you had one player you would give the Grammy to in this game against Wyoming, the 63-61 nail-biter game, who would you give the award to, man? Who would you give it to?
Miles Heide.
Yeah?
Yeah, he played I think he's understanding what he is to this team, and he's taking advantage of it. Rebounds, inside, getting putbacks, playing good defense. For me, he was the one who stood out of all the guys. I mean, they all played well to come back. I mean, honestly, against Wyoming, they didn't play very well the first 33 and a half minutes of the game. And then they played well for the other 6 minutes and 20 seconds. And then the last 11 seconds was the craziest thing I've seen in a long time, man. I mean, to answer your question, Miles Heide, but to go on a tangent, which I don't really do that often, I don't think, right? Down 50-41, 20-point run, and then to give up 11-2 to close the game and only win by 2, 8-point play or 8-point possession or whatever you want to call it. That was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. But with Miles, he had, I mean, his plus minus on the floor is pretty impressive lately, I believe. I don't have the exact number, but I mean, I think he played well, especially as a starter. 9 and 3, 4 or 6 field goals in 28 minutes. You got to give it to the kid, man. He's just getting better each time, and it's only a matter of time before he gets even better.
His play definitely stood out, dude. I mean, we put him on the front cover of this episode, right? It was a great photo. Go Aztecs.com. You can check out their photo gallery. They do great photography work there. And that picture really encapsulated the game. I mean, his putbacks, like you're saying, the offensive rebounds, just the spirited play that he brought out there. People really fed off of that. It kind of was like a Ferrari-esque energy anytime he did something really good. So, I mean, that was great to see, and great to see everybody chanting Heide in the stands. Fiend, well, we could talk a little bit more about Heide in a sec, but who would you give your Grammy to in this game against Wyoming?
I mean, I think the guy who stood out the most was Guath. I mean, I'd have to give the Grammy to him. 14 points, 11 boards, and 4 blocks. A couple big shots down the stretch, clutch free throws. He's just getting better and better. And with JCJ out, we really needed, I would say both Heide and Guath really stepped up these last couple of games without JCJ in there. But Guath, especially inside, the way he was able to get in the paint and that little turnaround, he's got such soft touch on his shot. And then just the rebounds, getting clutch rebounds and knocking it down at the charity stripe. I was just so impressed with the way he's playing.
I like that. Magoon, he's finished with a double-double. How do you say? 14 points, 11 rebounds, like you're saying. The blocks, 4 blocks. During this 4-game stretch, Fiend, he has been really taking advantage of his opportunities, whether on the road or at home, right? Like, everything you're saying is right on point, man. And it's been really nice to see him step out offensively with, kind of hitting some shots that you don't normally see, especially against San Jose. That was a huge game where he just came out and like what you're saying. So as we roll down, just really quick, the box score, like we mentioned, 14 and 11. Magoon, Nick Boyd had 13 points. 5 of 6 free throws. Miles Bird, 11 points, 5 of 5 free throws. He had 8 boards, 4 assists, doing a little bit of everything. Miles Bird, I mean, he didn't necessarily put up big points, but the stat sheet kind of shows, and his leadership, if you're watching the game, I mean, just being that playmaker. Heidi with 9. Taj DeGorville with 10 big points. Now he's been really consistent with just being a solid contributor off the bench and the playmaking, all that good stuff. So that's been really great to see. But across the board, I mean, it was, like I said, man, it wasn't really the prettiest of games until the end when they just flipped that switch and what was like a 20-0 run. I mean, these are I'm seeing Quinn in the chat. Thank you very much, Quinn. We got to give him his little power up for the super. Thank you so much. I love what he's saying right here, Fiend. He's saying, y'all's team be having Fiend stressed. Him and I have been messaging on X. Thank you, Quinn. Again. But this team, 20-0 run, they turn it on. Why are they stressing everybody out so much? Why are they stressing you out, Fiend? Because Quinn's calling you out.
I mean, I don't know. I can't figure this team out. I really can't. In this game, it just seemed like we just couldn't hit shots. We had a lot of wide open threes. How many shots did BJ take that, he missed like corner threes, and he had that one where it went off the rim, off the backboard, and then and then rimmed out, and it was just like we got to hit shots, and we're just not hitting shots. I think also our defense has not been on point as much as it has been. That we have stretches where we shut off the other team's water, and that was evident, the last like 6 minutes of the game before that meltdown, with fouling free 3-point shooters and stuff like that. But we're just a really young team. We're real young, and they're prone to make a lot of mistakes, and they're just not going to be consistent, not right now, and so that's what's kind of stressing me out. But hey, we got wins. That's all you can ask, is just stack wins, and and let's just keep rolling on.
What a wise way to put things. It's like someone's rubbing off on you, on your mentality of this basketball game. So basically, that was a long that was a long answer to say the inconsistency stresses him.
Inconsistency. Right. I think that's stressing everybody. The inconsistency, the growing pains.
You know what? Like, I used to be like stressed about that, but I'm at the point now. It's like, whatever, dude. Let's see if these kids can get through it. Let's see if they figure it out. Let's see if they have the struggles that they're going to have, and then they make up for it, and how they come back and they adapt. You adapt and adjust, or you die. Simple as that. So like, I'm watching the games, and I'm sitting here now, and I'm just kind of like, all right, well, like you said something about the backdoor cut or something like that. I said, they better figure it out then. You have to, if you don't adjust in game, you're never going to win a basketball game. And they've started to figure that out. They've had pretty wild lapses. I mean, Utah State was one. This one, the only other time that a game like that reminded me of the ending here was that UNLV game whenever it was, a long time ago. But to me, I just look at it as this is a young team. They're talented. They're fun. They're frustrating. Like I said, it's just it's going to be interesting to see how this team ends up as the year ends, because the potential's there, and they're not freshmen anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think so. This is fun, man. It's stressful, but it's fun.
Did you see that quote that Brian Dutcher, said about the gray hair? Yeah, talking about the alumni, like, some of this gray hair is because of you, but most of it is because of this year's team. I feel like this is like kind of like, and I've said this before. This is like Fisher's last year, like 2017. I'm not saying that Dutcher is hanging it up, but you could tell he was really frustrated with that team because all the mistakes they were making, and they just were not a consistent team. And it just, this team reminds me a lot of that team. Fortunately, we are pulling out games, which I think it may be because of the tough competition we played in non-conference. Playing teams like Creighton and Houston, like this is paying dividends now. That like when we're down, we know we can come back, and certainly having it in your own building too. Like when you're down big, and to have the crowd behind you when you start to make that run, that makes a big difference.
The gray hairs, I mean, can we get into that just a little bit? I know we've been kind of glossing over it, but like you said, Mike, that game against UNLV, I believe I was there for that as well, where we just had the most craziest ending to a basketball game you can imagine. And I didn't think that was going to happen in this game, even as crazy as it was. But, just those flashbacks, those emotional damage, those emotional scars kind of kick up a little bit. And I don't know what it was, but whether it was I think, did Taj foul a 3-point shooter, BJ fouled a 3-point shooter, and then somebody tell me, because I still don't know, they're at the free throw line with after one of those fouls on the 3, so they've already got 3 shots coming. The Cowboy hits 2, and then who gets knocked out? Who gets thrown out of the game?
Boyd.
Nick Boyd gets thrown out of the game for saying something. Like, it didn't even look demonstrative. It just looked like he kind of stepped into the lane, said something to the shooter, and then the ref just violently just flung his arm. You're out of here. I have no idea what he said. Do you guys have any insight into that?
I think what happened, he had been talked to before in that game.
Yeah.
And there was a couple times, I don't know, maybe not a couple, but at least once where they said, hey, dude, you say it one more time, you're out. Don't matter what you say. I can imagine. And he said something, regardless of what it was. Who knows if it was bad or not? Probably not, but he was out immediately. So I think Dutch said that, hey, it happens to people, but don't let it happen again.
Dutch said that he was warned, and then the bench was warned about what he was doing. And so there were 2 warnings already, and he did it again, and he got tossed. Whatever it was he said, I have no idea what he said. But, Dutcher, he talked to him after the game. He said, like, hey, you could have cost us the game there. Give them 2 shots in the ball, and then they get fouled again on a 3-point shot. So get another 3 free throws. And so, yeah, just a calamity of errors there and mental breakdowns at the end of the game. I kept thinking, I don't know why, but I kept thinking of like Reggie Miller against the Knicks, where he scored all those points in like 8 seconds. And that's just kind of like what it felt like, but we were doing the damage, like, with the fouling and just you don't have to foul. Like, you're up 11 with, what is it, 10, 12 seconds left or something like that. I mean, just let them shoot. They make a 3, big deal. You inbound it, you go to the line, you knock down some free throws, and they got to take it the length of the floor.
And it always kind of boggles my mind on in college, I guess the rules are a little different. Like, you can foul the offensive guy on an inbound before they even inbound the ball. So no time has to come off the clock. You could foul whoever you're guarding and send them to the line immediately. So in NBA, it's different. You foul them before they even get the inbounds in. That's like a technical or whatever. So, I mean, Wyoming, they didn't help themselves out in that situation. They let some more time run off that they needed to, but just a lot of shooting ourselves in the foot, man. Hopefully they're learning lessons, and thank God you had Chemo in there just to throw it off, because you take it for granted. I mean, all these mistakes that they made, they shouldn't have made. I mean, you would think these are, things that you're prepared for, but Chemo had the presence of mind, just throw it off the rim, no time left, game over.
He did, but then he chased the ball down. And he went after the ball, and they could have called a foul with like 0.4 left on the clock. It would have been 2 free throws the other end. Like, it's just some of we're young. We've got guys who have not played a lot of basketball. Now, Chemo's a different story. He's been in college for a while. Boyd has been in college for a while. BJ and Taj fouling 3-pointers. We got guys that don't have situational awareness right now, and you get that by playing games.
Yeah,
you by getting experience, and we just don't have that right now. So it's almost like you have to drill it, when they're not on the floor, like drill scenarios. But even then, it's like, if you're not experiencing it, if you're not going through it, it's much harder to learn than if you've actually, like, I bet Nick Boyd doesn't do that again for the rest of the season.
That's tough. That's tough. Whatever he said, that's tough. Even if you've been warned. Oh. Well, they're learning. They're learning. As we said, they're learning to fly, and they're getting wins. They've stacked 4 of them now. So if we just take a look at the standings, as we usually like to do, we are looking at New Mexico sitting all alone at the top of the mountain. Basically, they beat Utah State very, very convincingly in Logan, so you got to give New Mexico all the props right now. They're a well-rounded team. They're deep, and they have arguably one of the players of the year in the conference on their team with Dent. Then you got Utah State and Colorado State, and that's where we're going this weekend. We'll get into that in just a few on the second half of the recording, but that is what it is. 8-3 overall in the Mountain West. And Colorado State right in front of us. So it's just shaping up to be a fun weekend this weekend. But that's what we're looking at. That's what we're looking at right now, guys.
To me, it's like I said, it's fun. Being 8-3, I think. I mean, I'm considering. Someone asked me, they're like, "Well, hey, what's going on with State?" And I go, "Well, what do you mean?" They're like, "Oh, well, I'm like, well, first of all, we're 15-5, so I don't really understand the question." But I also said we've been old for a long time, and at some point we had to get young, and this is the year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's being 8-3 and having guys that are young, and then having guys who haven't played as much that are getting bigger roles. To me, sitting at 8-3, I mean, New Mexico is they're just playing otherworldly. They're just having a fantastic year. I think Utah State's going to come back to the pack here in a minute, but this is fun, man. And real quick side note, shout out to DeMarche. He came in the game against Wyoming and immediately got a steal. So I thought that was cool to see him kind of immediately make an impact in the game there. So that was fun to see. But hey, man, Colorado State, this is going to be a game because they play New Mexico Tuesday or Wednesday, I believe.
We'll have to take a look at the schedule. We could take a look at that after the break here in a second. But 63-61, 4 in a row, guys. 4 in a row. They're positioning themselves exactly where they need to be. Gonna take a quick time right now just to remind all you guys to save 15% off at sonsofmontezuma.com. Everybody, you can save 15% off using the promo code MONTY at checkout. That is on non-NIL items. So if you see one of our hats or a hoodie or one of our creative t-shirts that's Sons of Montezuma branded, you can get that for 15% off. Now, I do want to give a little bit of announcement because on Friday, I believe, or Saturday, Friday, we shared our collaboration with Mr. John Schaefer of the John and Jim Show. It's something very, very excited about. And it is also in our Sons of Montezuma online shop. And you guys can check out the store right now, as you see here in front of you guys. You can check out this John and Jim collaboration shirt. If I can get to that here. It's a Catapult U. That's a bit that John uses on the John and Jim Show, Catapult U. We got these new shirts, a collaboration with him. All proceeds go towards the Mesa Foundation, which is the SDSU men's and women's basketball NIL foundation. They create NIL for both programs, the men's and the women's. So all proceeds from this shirt. It's a white shirt, and senior night is always a whiteout. So if you order this now, you'll have it in time for senior night for sure. No questions asked. And you can sport it there on senior night, knowing that you are donating towards Mesa. They do a lot of great things on Mesa, a lot of behind the scenes video footage of the travels and practice, warm up, all that good stuff. So I encourage you guys to sign up for that regardless. But yeah, $30 for the shirt, and you get something tangible, physical you can wear. And thanks to John Schaefer, the future voice of the Aztecs, right, on the basketball and football side. So make sure you guys are going and supporting that. It was cool to see Ted Leitner out there too. They celebrated him. It was Alumni Day for all the Aztecs, right? A lot of former players there at midcourt. I don't know if you guys, Fiend, I know you stuck around. You got some recordings of that. That was really cool to see.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's an icon, and not just with San Diego State, but in San Diego sports history. And what a great career he's had. And so to send him off that way with all the alumni that he's done play-by-play for over the years is really a great way to salute him. And I thought it was a great tribute they did at halftime.
San Diego legend for sure. All right, guys, we're going to get into your comments in just a little while. Right now, I want to bring in a special guest. You guys have seen him. If you've been following Sons of Montezuma this past summer, last summer, the Swish League, we covered it. We had our Sunday game of the week and televised or broadcasted, as you could say, like the playoffs and the championship games, all that good stuff. And our next guest was one of the main voices that we had doing the play-by-play. You guys have seen him in his own podcast. It's Convos with Kev. Really cool podcast talking a lot of sports, but mainly hoops, of course, because he is a baller himself. And so I want to bring into the conversation Kevin Sandoval. What's going on, Kevin? How you doing, man?
How you doing, boys? Thank you for having me on, man. It's a pleasure.
How's it going, Kev?
Hey, Kevin. Nice to meet you.
How you doing, Finn? Nice to meet you, Mike.
Yeah, excited to have you on, man. I know, you've been around San Diego hoops for a little minute now. Now, give us a little bit of your background, where you're from, where you played, and what you're up to these days.
Right. Yeah, so I just recently moved to San Diego during COVID time. I believe it was August. And I got a scholarship out of my junior college in Los Angeles, Rio Hondo. You might have seen them on Last Chance U that first season. I have a couple cameos right there. And then I transferred to San Diego Christian, nice little NAIA. We were in a conference called the GSAC, one of the most toughest conferences in that level in California, on the West Coast in general. Yeah, I've been around the hoops scene a lot, man. I mean, you see in San Diego City, you see Torrey Pines High School, just connecting with all these kids, and growing up playing against Lamont Butler, Matt Bradley, Matt Mitchell, being my roommate my first year in San Diego. So just being around San Diego State in general, my first 2 years was, very touching. And actually playing in Viejas Arena my third and final year was just like the cherry on top of being in San Diego. So that's just my background with hoops, man.
Wasn't exactly the experience I'm sure you hoped for, right? Those games get a little out of hand, I'm sure.
Yeah, you get from a 5-point deficit, it goes to 15, and you see the final buzzer sound, and you're down 50.
How many did you drop that game?
I got 4 shots off. I got a couple cool photos and a memory that's just going to stick with me for the rest of my life.
Man.
Nice.
That's great. That's great. Well, man, I wanted to bring you on, of course, get your perspective. Love the work that you did with us at Swish League on the play-by-play. Looking forward to that this coming summer and season number 2 for us. So what do you think about this team? I know you tend to cover a lot of different teams here in San Diego, whether it's USD, UCSD, Point Loma, really taking a look at the local scene. But the Aztecs, they're the big dogs. So what do you see in this team? They're young, obviously, right?
No, correct. You got it right, Matt. So, we're talking about the NBA team in San Diego, and, it brings about a lot of spotlight, especially with that Final Four and Sweet 16 back-to-back years. There's a lot of pressure on these Aztecs, dude. First, congrats to Coach Dutch on 100 conference wins. That's a big accomplishment, really fast accomplishment he achieved ever since he took the driver's seat after Coach Fisher. But these Aztecs are young. We heard that around the summertime, including early fall before the season even tipped off. But to be honest, I don't really know what team we're going to see in March. I mean, we got tight games against Air Force and Wyoming. You get a home loss to UNLV within the span of these 2 weeks. But you would hear they're young. They're going to get accustomed to each other. But they started off pretty hot, knocking off the number 6 team in the nation with Houston, tight battle in Viejas with Gonzaga, knocking off Creighton. It was a big pressure to bounce from the offseason non-conference games going into conference. You know, I don't know about this 20-game conference, and a lot of Aztec fans could agree that this 20-game conference is going to bite a lot of teams in the conference, but in order for the committee to even account Mountain West teams to be in Selection Sunday. But with the game on previous night, you saw two halves. Both teams, Wyoming came in with a purpose. Didn't really feel respected. You see, both teams played about the same type of level. You see a type of youth command with Taj and Heidi playing real big in the first half. And, you know, typical Aztecs, you just pull out those grimy wins, and experience is going to speak for itself. You got to defend the home court with Goon stepping up. You know, Goon's going to be a walking double-double whenever he wants to every night. And you got vets like Miles and Nick just commanding the backcourt. So you're gonna see. We got a month till March hits. It's time to, you know, lock in for the road games, especially.
You know, Kev, from your perspective, where do you think they have the most growth? Where do you think they can get better the most?
I would say, and as ironic as it sounds, it's just gonna have to be with experience. You know, you're just gonna have to learn after every game, whether it's a win or a loss. Just learn from every game, apply it to the next one. If I had to nitpick, it'd probably be rebounding. You only beat Wyoming off the boards by 5. It was 28-23. When this team's known for 30+ rebounds a game, you have at least 2 guys flirting with double doubles. It's just gonna have to come off the glass. So it's really a heart game with them. You gotta want it.
Mm-hmm. I agree, man. Go ahead,
it's
Fiend.
hard. It's hard when you have JCJ, you know, out for 2 games too. I mean, because he's been such a solid rebounder for this team, and you know, it really kind of showed me like we don't have a whole lot of depth at the, you know, the bigs, and so we got to keep those guys healthy because it's going to be real key for our success coming down here, you know, the next month or 2.
I do want to jump in really quick because you're talking about the bigs, like on Wyoming number 12. I noticed this, you know, I was trying to just watch the game, like just calmly, you know. Number 12, Scotty, I don't know how you say Ibube.
Ibube, yeah.
As soon as he came in, he wanted to make his physical presence known. He was all over Heidi, grabbing him. Just, you know, somebody had to step up from Wyoming. The reboundings were kind of even in the first half, and then that second half, Ibube kind of led this charge or whatever, and they took Heidi out because he got in kind of foul trouble. Put in Farrow in there. He picks up 2 quick fouls. You got to bring Heidi back in. As Mike said, you know, DeMarche came in and contributed a little bit, right? But it was one of those things, like what you're saying, is like, who wants it more? The heart. Ibube came in with a chip on his shoulder, got all physical. Without JCJ, it's tough. You know, you got to have that big experienced body. But it was great to see Heidi really push through, persevere in this game. And those rebounds, man, so important. Like you said, so important. That's what we had when we were Final Four run, you know, all that experience, all those big bodies.
And you had AG, had Ladie, you had Nathan Mensah, you had big guards like Matt Bradley, excuse me.
Yeah.
You had Lamont Butler at the point guard position, getting 5, 6, 4 rebounds a game. You know, Aztec fans were spoiled that whole year of 2023. Kashad Johnson, excuse me. Oh my goodness. How could I forget KJ?
Man.
We are spoiled. We should be. We've earned it, right? Well, no, we haven't. They've given it to us, I guess is the best way to put it. They earned it and they've given it to us.
Right.
So it's the air of responsibility of winning is placed upon these young kids, and they're still learning how to win as a team, as a young group. And, you know, like you said, I think you put it great when you said, hey, they felt disrespected. Air Force and Wyoming and San Jose State coming in. It's like, hey, we're 15-point under. Okay, let's see. And they both played well. I look at the 20-game schedule, and it is what it is, right? You can't do anything about it at this point. But this is a pretty good conference in terms of competitiveness this year. Teams are battling each team. Yeah, there's some blowouts, but this has been a conference of you got to have the will to continue. Otherwise, you're going to get beat any given night. And we've seen it. I mean, there's going to be some more wild, crazy games coming up. I guarantee it. So the way you put that was great about the disrespect coming in against us. You know, the big bad wolf going into the house. You know what I mean? So
I would agree. I will bounce back off that. It is a joy to see the Mountain West becoming more of like a who's who type of outtake. With is it going to be New Mexico? Is San Diego State going to make a run to push? Is it Utah State going to repeat as conference champs? It's really a joy to where it's not just Boise, San Diego State, sometimes Utah State giving a hard-fought battle. I mean, shoot, you got Nevada pulling out some victories as well in this conference that nobody really expected either.
Nevada. Nevada.
I set you guys up for that one. I knew what I was saying.
Wait, no, I mean, this is crazy. Like, let me ask you a question, because we've talked about this on the pod. If you were to say currently, as we sit, who would be our rival in the conference
today?
Yeah, just like, recently, whatever, like, hey, this would be our rival game for the year, or the most rivalry.
It's always going to be Boise.
Okay.
But the past 2 years, I'm going to say past 2-3 would be Utah State. It's always hot fought battle between New Mexico. That was going to be another option, but Utah State's definitely like you're going to be chasing them for sure.
Yeah, and you just love to hate him too. At least I do.
Utah,
and
man,
that's something.
Go ahead. They come in dominating, man. I mean that to open up conference, they came in with a statement like, "Sure, we're 11-1, a little upset at home from the brother school with UCSD, little brother school, just trying to catch our bluff. I mean, going into Viejas Arena, coming towards Christmas time, just making a statement to the whole conference."
And they're following us into the Pac-12. Oh, I hate that. New Mexico can't say that. They can't say that. Even with all their tradition and years of, the excellence of their culture that they tout, they're not going to the Pac-12.
Right.
That hurts.
Right.
Oh, Kev, everybody make sure you guys go follow Kev. What is your X handle or where can they find your show as well? All that good stuff.
You can find Convos with Kev podcast on Apple and Spotify, also YouTube for the video. Instagram is going to be Convos with Kev, or the main to support every move is going to be Kevs, Kevss. I'll be tweeting. So tweets by Kevs. I'll be at every Aztec game showing you a little behind the scenes, little previews of the pregame, some quotes from players. And be on the lookout. The podcast is being on hold right now with filming. I do have a editor/producer that was affected by the Altadena fire, so we're working to resume our season 2. So be on the lookout. We got some names coming up.
Okay, now Swish League is coming up in the summer. Hope to get you on that as well. Before we say goodbye, man, who are some names that possibly could be playing at Swish coming up this summer that you're keeping an eye on locally?
Yes sir, I got a maybe and a for sure one. Maybe is gonna be Benji Pierre. Came into USD. This is gonna be his 3rd year. Transferred from a JUCO, Florida kid, real grimy. If you guys saw that black versus red game at Viejas, he was the dude that shot 5 threes in a row.
Yeah,
and was on nobody's scouting report and made a name for himself. So him and I shared the same trainer when I was playing. So me and him, we touch base often after every game. I went to see him in Los Angeles at the Intuit Dome to play GCU, and he's been on the tear so far, earning starting minutes, really grounding himself in the WCC. Another kid I got is Hayden Gray. Be on the lookout for our episode coming soon. SD kid, transferred from APU recently. He's in his last year at UCSD, averaging 11 and 3. Striking performance against James Madison at this invitational earlier this year with 22 points a game. Dead light shooter from the outside. So these two kids could show something special at the Swiss this summer.
Yeah, I love Hayden Gray's game, man. Those UCSD kids are playing really well, and
They are.
I tried to warn people, beginning of the year how good they were, and they certainly are the real deal.
Pretty good, knowing that win itself is actually helping them, the Aztecs, for Selection Sunday.
Yep.
That win says something special. From a quad 3 to a quad 2 speaks volumes for a UCSD program, who's actually eligible this year for the first time to be involved in the Selection Sunday now after moving up from D2 level.
That's exciting. That's exciting.
Sure.
All right, Kev, thank you for joining us, man. Appreciate all the work you do. We'll keep in touch.
Yes,
and
sir.
this won't be the last time. Won't be the last time, man.
Of course not, brother. Thank you for having me. About time, man. About time.
Good seeing you,
Yeah.
Kev. Good seeing you. See you at
Thanks.
Stretch,
All right, guys.
definitely.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for coming on, man. Have a good night.
Of course, man. God bless y'all.
You too.
Yeah. There you have it. Make sure you guys go follow Kev. Guys, let's get into some of these comments because we got. Thank you, Quinn. Thank you, Quinn. Cooper, he says, Fiend hates Utah State. Fiend hates Utah State the same way that I hate Bama and Georgia. Of course, Quinn, the Auburn Tiger, as they are the Tigers. They are the Tigers.
That is definitely true. I definitely hate Utah State. I was kind of glad to see them lose against New Mexico the other night. So I like seeing them lose.
Oh, I got that text from you. As soon as they lost, as soon as it hit 000 on the clock, Tween was like, I love seeing Utah State lose at home, especially at home, dude. Great.
Yeah, and that student section when it just shuts them up, and there was a great video of like a New Mexico fan at the end of the game. You know, the student section, they do that. You know, is that not the scoreboard? Yes, that is the scoreboard. Is this not the winning team? Yes. And so there was a New Mexico fan, a couple of them, that were doing that, and all the Utah State fans were pissed about it. I was like, man, taste of their own medicine. That's awesome.
Gotta love it. Got to love it. Okay, let's see. What is Soccer 96? New Mexico is our rival. Last year's games proved it, especially at Viejas. We blew the roof off at Viejas in that game against New Mexico last season. Yeah, we split that series, took house down in our house. Of course, we were there in New Mexico when they beat us, and we got to return the favor again this year. I agree. Long term, New Mexico is the rival, but you know, they just started getting good again. So, I don't know. I stick with Utah State right now. What do you think about Boise, Mike? Boise's they're kind of falling off, man. Kind of falling off this year.
Well, I don't know what's going on up there. I mean, you know, hey, bummer, right? But Boise just was there 2-6 against us in the last 8 or whatever, and or whatever it is, right? I think 6-2 against us, Boise is, and we're 2-6 against Utah State, or something like that. So I don't remember what it was, but I think it's New Mexico. I can't remember the stats. Forgive me for something. Yada yada yada. New Mexico.
Oh, okay. All right. Joe, what's going on, Joe? He says prediction on March Madness seeding. Now, Fiend, you share with us this little clip of Dutch. It was one of his quotes, and he basically starts off the quote. I think it's in a Ziegler article. Is that what he said? Basically, this is what he said.
Don't care. That was me.
Still don't care. I don't
care. I love it. That's exactly what I've been saying all year, dude. I said that to you, and it just shows the mentality of, obviously we have a different mindset than them, right? You know what I mean? In terms of what we want to see in prognostication and stuff. But
can I read it? You want to read it?
100% read it. I read that. I was like, this is my guy. Like we're like Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger and twins, you know?
I don't care. SDSU coach Brian Dutcher said of his team's slipping metrics after close calls against Air Force, San Jose, and Wyoming. There are 3 wins. The only thing I'm responsible for is my team's performance. And if we're playing good basketball and winning games, then I love it. Play good basketball, find ways to win, and the rest will take care of itself. That's all I'm focused on, is getting the team better and winning games. And the metrics can do what the metrics want to do. Now, Fiend, okay, come on. This is coach speak, though. He's the coach. He can say these things. That's his responsibility, is his team, how they perform, game in and game out on that day. He can't bog down his mind with Q4s and 3s and metrics and all that. Can he? I mean, I don't think so. I think he has to focus on the day-to-day operation.
I think, with this team, he just wants to get to the tournament. Yeah, he wants to win a Mountain West championship and get to the tournament, and see where we can go. We're not worried about seeding at this point. We're just worried about getting in the tournament, right? And if you continue, he's right. If you continue to win games, who cares what the quad is, quad 3, quad 4, you're gonna get in the tournament. That's the bottom line. So, and that's kind of where I'm at. When we beat Houston, when we beat Creighton in the preseason, I'm thinking seeding. I'm thinking, wow, we can get a great seed. And now it's just the way we're playing and some of the losses we took to UNLV, and now it's just a matter of hoping we get in. And we're not an NIT team or having to win the conference tournament to get into March. So yeah, just that I'm kind of at right now. I'm because of how they've played, I'm at the same point. And thank God, I think we only have like one more quad 4 game against Fresno. A lot of these are going to be on the road, so it's like quad 3. It's still bad, but it's not like a death blow to your at-large bid. So yeah, just win games at this point. If we can just keep winning, it'll take care of itself. We may not get a high seed, but we'll get in.
I mean, that might be the smartest thing you've ever said on the podcast. It's just,
like I said, if you want to be happy, you just got to lower your expectations.
It's man. I think it's more manage your expectations.
You got to lower them.
Tomato, potato.
I'm just at a point, like I said, I'm whatever. They could. The difference between like the ceiling and the floor of this team is like the highest it's ever been, I think, for this program. They could run the table and win close games and get into March and get to a Sweet 16. They could blow a bunch of games and not even make the tournament, not even make the NIT. You just don't know.
Winning at Colorado State would be huge for yes, it would. Both teams are neck and neck in the standings, Quinn. Of course, Colorado State one game ahead of us in the conference standings, but we've got that win over them, and we'll be there in Fort Collins this Saturday. I can't wait to be there between you guys on the plane or on the car. I mean, making sure you guys don't bite each other's heads off. But hopefully we survive the trip in Fort Collins. Hopefully we survive. It's going to be plenty cold. I'm not used to that.
It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be beautiful. I mean, you guys are sitting in the back seat. Andy's got a shotgun. We've already established this today after all the mental masturbation I put you through this morning.
I'm surprised you're not making me go in the trunk to get there.
I mean, that is there. I'm just excited to have you listen to the podcast we're going to listen to with some of the podcasts we have coming up. That's a good hour and a half drive. It'll be fun. But in terms of seating, I don't know. Who knows? Like he says, like you say, it could be. Honestly, with this team, it could be we're out. We're a 9 seed or an 8 seed if everything goes our way. So it's. I think you just want to get in at this point. Even if you have the playing game, that's interesting because almost every year a playing team gets to the Final Four, or they have more often than not in the last few years. But I mean, you have the opportunity 9 more games. You're sitting at 8-3, 15-5. If you can get to say you get 22 ish and 7, I mean, it's a pretty good record, right? So and then you got a couple more games in the conference tournament, and if you win that conference tournament, you're in. So this is, to me, I think Dutch is at the point where he's like, I want my guys to get better. I want to coach each day. I can't worry about the tournament. I've been there. I know what it's like. If we get there, we get there. If we don't, we don't. But he wants to make sure he's also in the mindset of, I can't worry about getting there until we go to Colorado State and play there. Because if we're worried about 3 weeks from now, we can't worry about tomorrow. So, it's, to me, that's kind of my mindset of let's just go. Let's just see what happens. If they win at Colorado State, then they go to San Jose State, and they have 2 at home. I mean, if you win those 4, you get to 12-3. You're in the discussion then, because who knows what's going to happen.
Just keep winning one possession games.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you, and this season is a success if we hang a banner, and that banner is not a CBI banner.
Oh, God.
Gee, but I mean, the glass is half full.
Or maybe a NIT banner. I don't know. I mean, if
would
we
it be
get an NCAA tournament banner, I think we just get there. Like, that's a successful season in my book. With this,
I was gonna say, if it's an NIT banner, would you consider it a success? NIT.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so I was thinking about sorry, Matt. I was thinking about this day with the NIT. Say you get to the NIT and you're a high seed, you get a couple of home games. Those were electric. Right. I remember when we had the NIT. Now, obviously, we're getting used to go to the tourney. That's we get it, but you can't go every year. I mean, I know how many teams have gone to the tourney every single year in the last 5 or 6 years. It's not like it's every team. I don't think it's a lot. But with the NIT, and I can't even believe we're talking about this, but we'll talk about it.
Do we have to?
Hey, you get home games, and so with a young team that could help. But I think we're gonna finish 23-6. I think we're gonna lose one more game. But
one more game.
Yeah, I hope so. That's a hope, right? I mean, realistically, we'll probably lose 2. But if we're in the discussion and we beat all those teams,
NIT stands for not in tournament. Love that.
It's a possibility. This team has the potential to do that. It's just the consistency, whether they're consistent or not.
And they have the potential to do the opposite.
We haven't seen the consistency. I mean, they've been barely eking out some of these games, still winning, but the consistency hasn't been there. And so it's just a matter if they are consistent. You're right. They could, like I said, the ceiling could be very high for this team, but the floor could be pretty low too.
And it's a unique situation because you have a guy that you thought was going to be there all year who's not there. And so,
right.
It's a team that I wouldn't say necessarily would rely on him being there, i.e. Reese, but he's not there. So he's just not there. And I think before the season, you're like, okay, well, he's going to be there. And I'm not saying that they're like, hey, but he was a preseason all conference pick, right? First team or something. So you have to overcome that. You have a team that is young with a lot of guys who haven't played together. What was it really? Miles and Heidi, or Miles are really long played for the most part last year. I think they've been exceptional this year in terms of what they've done and how they've done it and how they've learned and moved on and getting 15-5 after beating Houston. Obviously, we beat Creighton without Fiend's guy because he has ankle rolled. But hey, man, 15-5. That's a really good year so far, I think.
Yeah, man. Bill Poach, I believe it Poach. He says he'll be there in Colorado State, the Fort Collins game, and he says this CSU game is huge on Saturday. It could be a big statement win. I love everything you guys are saying, but I think this game is really going to prove, okay, can we last the rest of the year with just one loss, as Mike is hoping for? Because, I mean, we played the bottom of the conference and we're barely squeaking by. So a road win in Fort Collins. I mean, we've seen some tough battles through the years against the Rams in that little arena. What is it? Moby Arena? Moby, something like that. This game is big. I think what we're seeing with the young guys, like what you guys are saying, like every game, it may not be consistent, but there is improvement. I mean, Magoon is like a perfect example of that. He's been the most consistent, I think, in this winning streak, but just the type of improvement in his own game, the moves, the shot selection, everything's more in motion. Whereas before putting the ball on the ground, and you're just like, oh, you clench up a little bit. Now you feel a lot more confident where he's got some moves where it's more decisive, more confident. And the same could be said with a lot of the guys. So this game, man, I'm super pumped for this game.
This is gonna be fun, man. Like if they win this game, I think they'll win. They'll lose, maybe one more. But if they lose this game, then maybe they'll lose a couple. I hope they win 7, go 7-1 or 8-1 or whatever, and the rest. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, I just got a message really quick, guys, from a follower of ours on X. Make sure you guys go and follow us on X if you get a chance at Sons of Monty. And of course, hit that like and subscribe button, guys. It'll help us out. And he's asking, he's going to be in Viejas for the Boise game coming up. That's the next home game that we have. It's a blackout. You guys make sure you guys are there. He wants to know some tips. It's been a while since he's been there at Viejas Arena. You guys got any tips as far as, places to go before the game or your experience, guys? Fiend, I'm sure you got some, man.
At which arena? At Viejas?
Viejas, yeah, man.
I mean,
Viejas.
There's Eureka or Wings and Things. I think Wings and Things is a great place to go to. You get, they got obviously good wings, and they've got a good beer selection there. And I don't think it's as crowded as Eureka, so that's a good place to go. But Eureka is great too, and I don't know. Those are the two places I would go.
Would you rather have somebody park or take the trolley into the game, especially if they're coming from out of town? What do you think? Park or take the trolley?
I would probably park.
You think so? Yeah.
Where are they coming
crazy.
from?
Kind of crazy. I want to say North County.
Oh, I mean, you probably have to drive. That's a long trolley. That's a long.
Yeah, I would park.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a long way to go. Unless you park somewhere and then take the trolley in, but that's kind of a.
When's the last
it's more expensive, but
like park at Snapdragon, take the trolley in. That could be a fun little adventure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get to see both properties.
Yeah,
that might be a way to go. All right, more on that. Let's get into the comments again. Let's see. Quinn, he says, I don't think you guys can lose more than 2. And those 2 losses will be against Colorado State, New Mexico, or Utah State. Those are the big ones. Those are the ones that are ahead of us, right? So those are the big ones. You got to handle business if you want to have a chance at the season championship. Got to take care of business. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. And yes, hope that it is good weather. I want some snow. I want some snow in Fort Collins.
It's gonna be perfect.
Bring it. Bring the snow. Come on.
It's gonna be, dude. It's gonna be 56, 44, 39. It's gonna be a beautiful weekend. Bring some shorts, boys.
Dang it! Oh, I wanted some of that real Colorado weather. As far as Viejas Soccer says, park in parking lot 3. You hear that? Parking lot 3. Oh boy. Anyways, looking forward to the rest of the Mountain West season. That's right, Robert. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Any other topics you guys want to talk about? Anything specific before we sign off? Is this going to be our last episode before we get to Fort Collins? Probably. Friday we'll be taking off and let the trip begin.
I just want to say that, that with this team, we're squeaking out these wins, and we're obviously not playing our best basketball right now. I mean, we have not been since probably the Utah State game, or before that, the Boise State game. So it's but we're getting open shots. We're getting a lot of open shots. We're just not knocking them down. So if we can see the ball start to go through the hoop and guys start hitting their 3-pointers and just start knocking down shots, I think we are going to be a really tough team to beat. But we've got to hit more shots. We're just not hitting enough.
Now, somebody on X did clap back, and they wanted to see if we could talk about the coach's offensive plays and the lack of scouting. They said the lack of scouting of other teams' offense. I don't know if I could speak on that, man. I mean, lack of scouting. Who's to say that there was a lack of scout? Like, these are kind of things that I can't sit here and say, oh, well, there's a lack of scouting. I mean, I'm not in the coach's room to verify that. I hardly would believe that there's a lack of scouting, or, as far as the plays go. I mean, the offense still seems to be, it's not like we run a ton of set plays like some other programs like a UConn that runs, how many sets do they run? Like a infinite amount of sets, new sets every single week. It's just like a ridiculous amount. The offense is different than what we've seen before, right? We don't have a dominant big man. A lot of people ask me at the games, they say, why don't we have our bigs down low on the block, and why are they out there on 3-point line so much? It aggravates people, right? It's just like, that's just not what they're running. That's not the makeup of this year's team. Like you can't try to
guard
force
dominated team.
Yeah, you can't force a square peg into a round hole. Like it's not gonna work. So I mean, I don't know if I could really get into all that as far as scouting and the sets that they run. Like
No, I think we're doing an okay job, with scouting the other teams. It's just we got a lot of mental lapses, like where like I said, we're hunting steals and we're leaving guys. Our 3-point shooters that Dante Allen killed us in this last game against Wyoming. I mean, he 4 of 8 from 3-point land, and a lot of those shots were because we had a guy that left him and he got wide open, and that's how he knocked down his 3-pointers. So we just got to do a better job of just closing out and sticking with our guy and not hunting. We're always hunting steals on this team, and I think if we just play more man-up defense, it's gonna make it tougher for these teams to hit 3-pointers. The other thing, with a lot of these teams that we're playing, you look at a team like Wyoming and Dante Allen. I think he was class of 2019, top 100 recruit in the country, played for Kentucky first couple of years. Then he went to Western Kentucky and then he transferred to Wyoming. That guy's been in college forever. Jordan Nesbitt's another guy who's at Memphis for a year, went to SLU, went to Hampton. Now he's at Wyoming. Ogbum is like a 4th-year guy. All these guys are just, and you look at San Jose State. They got a bunch of older guys too on that team. That's, that experience is so invaluable. And I think that's why these teams, maybe they're not as talented. They got talent, but they're just more experienced. And I think that's been a huge factor in them keeping these games close and having a chance to beat us.
So I mean, look at the San Jose State game. Some guys, they shot 50% from 3. I mean, come on, like you have to don't discredit the human element of the game. Some guys just have better games, and like Kevin was saying, is guys come in here and teams come in here feeling disrespected that San Diego State's going to run all over us. Okay, let's show them, and then they play well. So hey, lack of scouting. I'm not even a comment. That's a ridiculous comment.
What was it?
These guys are pros.
San Jose State hit the most 3-pointers against us since I think it was in the tournament when Syracuse Buddy Buckets hit all those shots. And I remember Jordan Shackle after that game. I'll never forget this. He was saying like, maybe it didn't look like they were open, but they were open and we were not closing out on them. And that's a big issue that we're having. Like I said, because we're not, we're trying to help too much. We're leaving the guys on the 3-point line. They're getting wide open shots. These teams are getting very good looks and they're knocking it down. You got to get better at making them take tough threes instead of open threes. And if they knock them down, if it's a tough 3 and they knock it down, hats off to them. But you just cannot give them these open looks. And our defense, that's a big reason why our defense has not been as good, I think, the last 5-10 games.
And the crazy thing is, because looking at Wyoming and prep for this game, our defense is still tops in the conference. It may not be up to the standard that what we're used to or the eye test on what do the numbers say? We're still number 1 in the conference when it comes to
but you're taking that over a whole season though. We were so much stronger at the beginning of the season than our defense is now.
Lately.
And
we got a week off to get better.
That's the thing.
Right.
That's the thing. I think these guys are really tired, right? And we get to reset this week. They get to work on some things that they haven't had a chance to work on. And, they just get some rest and what's recharge for Colorado State and see where we're at.
Yeah, I think it's I wouldn't go so far to say the coaches, their sets, their scouting, all that stuff. I think when coach says my hair is growing white over this team, it's because of that youth element. It's the focus element, and we've seen it, the lulls, right? The droughts, whether it's scoring or digging themselves a ditch on defense. Like there's a lot of variables that go into it, but overall, the coaches are telling you it's the youth factor and all that type of things that surround themselves with that. Kevin isn't scoring 63 points. Say it's more offense than defense.
Depends on the pace of the game. We've been playing teams that play very slow.
Ugly, grinded out games, and
exactly.
Let's be real. That is kind of Aztec basketball. That is the style. That is what we're.
I mean, Air Force should never score 76 on you. I know it went to overtime, but still.
Yeah. A lot of things, a lot of strange things with this team, but 4 in a row, as we say on the header here, on the headline, 4 in a row heading into that off week. Thank you, Mike, for reminding me. They got this week off until Saturday in Fort Collins. We'll be there. You guys stay tuned. Sons of Montezuma will be putting out some things leading up to our travel to Fort Collins. It'll be us 3 plus Aztec Andy. Looking forward to it. Spending some time with you guys as usual. Thank you all for joining tonight's live. It's a victory Sunday. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe, share with other Aztec friends of yours, and don't forget to check out the online shop. Of course, our deal with John Schaefer, our Mesa Foundation Catapult U shirt, $30. All proceeds go towards the Mesa Foundation, the NIL collective or foundation, as you will, for the men's and women's team. Make sure you guys go support that, do that thing. Fiend, Mike, thank you guys for joining. We'll wrap a little bit as soon as we get off air, but looking forward to spending time with you guys, and everybody have a great week. See you next time, right? Until then, go Aztecs.
Go Aztecs.
Go Aztecs.
Yee.